Hi, and welcome to Global One Media Stocks to Watch. I'm Michael Swido. I'm speaking today with Kenneth MacLeod. He's the CEO, President, and a Director of Sonoro Gold. They're an exploration and development company that is about to become a gold producer. We'll explore that more in a moment. But first, Ken, welcome to the show.
Hello, Michael. A pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to speaking with you, particularly about your flagship project that's located in Sonora, Mexico. That's about 3 hours south of Tucson, Arizona. There are a number of gold mines in this area, and based on the surveys you've done so far, I'm wondering, just how much gold do you think there is on that property?
There is a significant amount of gold in the property. When we started investigating the project in 2018, our general consensus from the investigation was the property is capable of supporting as much as 2 million ounces of gold mineralization. And so we started drilling, and we obtained earlier drilling that was done by prior operators. And over the past 4 or 5 years now, we have a grand total of 55,000 meters of drilling. And now we're very, very close to have demonstrated within what is known as the pit shells, where the open pit mining will take place. We have identified almost 500,000 ounces. So we are well on the way to proving up the full value of the project, like I said, which we anticipate to be in the order of 2 million ounces. Additional drilling will have to take place to accomplish that. But as I mentioned, 55,000 meters of drilling has given us a tremendous start to the project. And we're anticipating that the project will increase in size in several phases. And the goal has always been to get into production with a minimal amount of resource within the pit shells that would enable us then to start cash flow and utilize some of that cash flow to expanding the drilling program and continue the drilling until we do realize the true value of the project. And that'll take 2 to 3 years to fully evaluate that.
All right, so 500,000 to 2 million ounces of gold. I'd like to have that in my footlocker. When you spoke to my colleague Ashley Berry about 2 months ago, you know that Sonoro Gold had applied for an environmental permit for the project, and that once you received it, you'd be able to close out the project financing and start building the mine. Tell us, what's the latest on this front?
Yes, the environmental permit, the environmental impact statement was filed in May of 2022. Well, and we fully expected to have the environmental impact statement, or MIA as it's known in Mexico. We fully expected to have that approved last year in 2023. But in the meantime, the Mexican government implemented a brand new mining law that came into play in May of 2023. And it's been slowly being absorbed by the mining community, and it hasn't been fully implemented as of this day. So as a result, there's been delays in getting the final environmental approval from SEMARNAT, the environmental agency. But we have gone through the process, as have other companies of much, much greater size than our company and our project. And we're all waiting for the environmental approval. And we've gone through the process. We understand that there are no further comments from the environmental agency. In other words, that to all intents and purposes, we don't anticipate any further delays beyond the political delays. And politically right now, Mexico will be going through a presidential election on June the 2nd of this year. And we don't know whether we have to wait till then in order to get the approval. But we have been assured that it's only a matter of time. It could be weeks or it could be months in order for us to get the environmental approval, but it will happen. So we're waiting patiently for that. But in the meantime, we have other priorities to achieve with our project, and we're working on those as well.
Okay, so it could be any time. It might be after the presidential elections in Mexico in June. Really don't know, but it sounds like from what you're saying that you put in everything you need to put in, and indications are good. It will be approved. The question is just when. If we look at the property as well, I mean, you've done more than 500 drill holes so far, but even with that, Sonoro Gold has only explored just about 30% of the site's mineralized zones, 70% less to explore. So potentially, is it fair to say there could be a lot more gold that we don't know about yet?
Oh, we know there's a lot more gold. What we're very comfortable in stating here right now is that we've identified areas right throughout the property. 1,400 hectares are showing evidence of mineralization throughout the project site, throughout the 1,400 hectares. This is a result of the fact that many of these vein structures that we've been encountering are exposed at surface. So it's a very, very easy way for us to identify the next areas for us to develop and to drill. So we test these at surface, we assay them, and we find them mineralized. Then we put the drill rig on there. And so far, we are comfortable in stating that, as you mentioned, only 30% of the known mineralized zones in the property have been drilled and assayed to date. So we're very much looking forward to continuing with the drill program so that we can fully realize upon the true potential for the project. And there are areas that we've identified for the next phase of drilling, which is expected to commence following the spring of this year. And we fully expect that we will be drilling about 8,000 meters of drilling as a result of this. And that should take us into areas of known mineralization, but which we, by judicious use of the drill rig, we should be able to expand the pit shells, expand the known mineralization in the property, and focus as well on areas of higher grade mineralization that we anticipate at this point in time will provide us with the first 2 to 3 years of production at much higher grades than the average for the project. And it would be very beneficial for us to continue to drill in these high grade zones so that we can extend the high grade production beyond the first 2 to 3 years and hopefully into the years 4 and 5. But nevertheless, as it stands right now, the project is extremely robust. And I can mention, this is phase 1 of a multi-phase project to fully realize the value of this resource.
Yeah, because I get that you are continuing to drill, continuing to look for new areas where the gold is, and that the expectations of that are quite positive. I want to move from the drilling now to the dollars and cents of the project, and there are a few numbers I want to explore with you, starting with your expected rate of return. I saw that in your most recent calculations, you're putting the internal rate of return at more than 60%. That's pretty high. How confident are you in this figure?
Well, we're very confident. Our technical team in Mexico is extremely experienced. Jorge Diaz, our mining engineer, vice president of operations, and vice chairman of the company, it has over 12 gold mines that he's developed over a 50-year term as a mining engineer. And so he's very experienced in taking projects of this nature through to production and constructing them and then operating them following the construction. Our VP of exploration, Mel Herdrick, has been involved in the business for 45 years as well, 45 to 50 years, and finding gold mines. And he's got over 5 million ounces of gold discovery to his credit. So between the two of them acting as leaders with an operation in Mexico of mining engineers and geological staff, we've got an excellent team that has the ability to be able to take the project through from early stage exploration to production. And knowing how this the project has developed very, very similar to other projects that our team's been involved with, we can safely say that we are extremely confident that the results we are projecting can be achieved and can be achieved in a relatively short period of time.
Okay, so we're looking at an internal rate of return of more than 60%. If we look at the expected value of your mines, this is a function of the price of gold, and that has been rising steadily of late. It's currently above 2,000 US dollars an ounce. At this price level, just how much do you think the gold in your mines is worth?
Well, the net present value discounted 5% for the current status of the project is $77 million US. And if you want to translate that into Canadian dollars to be able to compare it with the market capitalization of the company, there is a bit of a disconnect there. And so you take 77 million US, which is over $100 million Canadian, and the market capitalization of the company is less than $12 million. So as you can see, there's, if an investor was to come in today, there is a tremendous probability that the share price should be able to rise towards the net present value of the project. But as it stands today, with the additional drilling that we're going to be accomplishing over the coming year, 2 years, then the size of the resource should improve, should increase substantially as a result of that. And also that'll have an impact on the internal rate of return and on the net present value. So it's a moving target, but as it stands today in phase one is a highly lucrative operation for us to launch, hopefully during 2024.
All right, so I want to delve into that a bit deeper with you. First, the price of gold. We've mentioned it's above 2,000 US dollars an ounce. Analysts expected to climb further. One of the more bullish forecasts has come from JP Morgan Chase. It thinks gold could hit 2,300 US dollars by next year, which of course would increase the value of your project. You mentioned, right, the NPV, the net present value, currently about 77 million US dollars is the estimate. Your market cap is less than 7 million US, just 1/10 the value of your assets. How do you explain the discrepancy in this?
It's been a tough market over the past 2 years. Junior gold companies have suffered tremendously. The ability to finance was constrained, certainly in 2023, and it's continued into 2024. But we're starting to see glimmers of light now. It's starting to get better. Companies are starting to get financed again. And so what had to happen in order for this turnaround to occur is companies end up in a state of capitulation. We've been trying to raise money for 2 years. Oh, we haven't been able to raise it, and we give up. Finally, some companies go out of business. But what we've done is taken the opposite approach. We as insiders have supported the company through thick and thin, and we continue to do so. And so when the company would need a large property payment to make, and the market was not strong enough to be able to bear a financing at that time, we as insiders would advance the money to the company and use it as a loan, and then eventually get repaid when the timing is right, or else convert it into shares. And as a result, we end up with about a 25% interest in the shares of the company. So that makes for a very strong proposition. We're not reliant solely on the market in order to make this company successful. And we intend to continue in that vein. Now, the past few years as well has been very, very trying for gold. Even in spite of the fact that the price of gold is $2,000, the focus of the investment public has been diverted to things like over the past little while to AI, and prior to that it may have been lithium. But traditionally, what you find is that there are major swings in the price of gold and the gold markets and it sometimes takes as much as 7 to 10 years for these swings to be manifested. And we have gone through a protracted period of depressed gold markets as far as the mining companies are concerned. Even the major companies are not fully realizing their full value in the marketplace, even though they're making record profits. So I see all of that changing. There will come a day where we're going to see changes. And is it going to be $2,100 gold, $2,200 gold that's going to make that major change and the shift away from other investments to gold? It's possible. But nevertheless, what I view is the high interest rates right now are continuing to support the value of the US dollar. And I see that interest rates will have to come down in due course. Now, is it going to start in Q1 of 2024? I believe that it will, and that will have a negative impact on the price of the US dollar, on the US dollar as a whole, which will have a positive impact on the price of gold. So I see some strategic interest in our part to see the US dollar coming down slightly, because when you look historically at how the price of gold correlates to the US dollar, USD goes down, gold goes up, and nothing has changed in that regard.
So one of the things that strikes me when we're looking at your financing is the commitment of the directors like yourself. And outside investors like to see it when directors are putting their own money on the table. And you all have definitely been doing that, haven't you?
Well, we certainly have. And over the past 4 to 5 years, each of the private placements we have done has been taken down as to between 25 and 30% by the insiders of the company. with a notable exception last year in 2023 of a $2 million private placement we did, and probably around 65% of that private placement was taken down by insiders because of the difficulties in the market in raising capital. So as a result, we are fully committed to making the company successful and the project successful, and we'll continue to participate in these financings going forward.
So last year, you all raised 2 million Canadian dollars in a private placement. The directors like yourself put some of that money on the table. Some of it came from outside. It's been a rough period for junior companies like yourself to raise money. So what do you think makes Sonoro Gold stand out? Why has it been more successful in raising funds than perhaps its competitors?
It may be partially due to the fact that any investor can look at us and see the management and the insiders are committed to making this company successful. And that is fairly unique. We do have a major interest in the company to begin with, and we continue to maintain that strategic interest in the company. So since we are committed to making the project and the company successful, it gives any investor, any new investor, comfort that we're not going to disappear overnight or in the next year or two. That we have the ability to bring this project through to production in the shortest period of time possible, and we're committed to making that work.
Well, something's going to have to change in terms of how investors look at the exploration and the mining companies, because gold is already up. And as you mentioned, it's been a tough year for the exploration companies. If we look at Sonoro Gold share price, I mean, it's down 30% since the start of the year. The drop's even steeper if you take a longer term view. So Ken, what do you think it's going to take to convince traders that your company is a good investment?
Well, I think some of the catalysts will be, we're going to continue with the drilling program. Mexico is one of the finest jurisdictions for gold development in the world. It's a number 8 gold producer. It's a number 1 silver producer, and we have both gold and silver on the property. So the government of Sonora State is very pro-mining, and they're continuing and continually assisting us in getting the project through the permitting phase at the federal government level in Mexico City. So we're in good grounds there. We're in good hands with the governor of Sonora State. Now, once we secure that environmental impact statement approval, I think it'll have a major influence on the investment sentiment as far as Sonoro is concerned. It's a catalyst that people have been waiting for almost a year. And once it occurs, it will, it'll be pent up demand. I look at it very similar to a thoroughbred horse waiting to get out of the paddock and get into the gate so you can start running. And that's where we're at. We have 5,000 investors on our database, and many of those are waiting on the sidelines, waiting for us to get the environmental impact statement approval. And that will be one of the major catalysts there. The other is our continuing with a drilling program. In the meantime, regardless of whether we secure the environmental permit tomorrow or 6 months from now, we will continue with the drilling program. And as a result, we'll generate additional, hopefully, good results with the drilling program. It's low risk. It's expansion of a known resource. So it should not be very hard for us to generate success with the drilling program. And so that should also generate some stimulation in the share price as well, because obviously the more we increase the value of the project and the size of the resource and the potential throughput on a daily basis, the more the share price should reflect that. So I believe those two issues, the price of gold going to $21, $22, $2,300, I think is realistic. The US dollar, losing some of its value, which will have a beneficial effect on gold, and of course the continuation of the drilling program will be beneficial.
Okay, I like the thoroughbred analogy. I grew up in Kentucky, so grew up around horses. Went to the track, that sort of thing. And to put your horse in a place to win, you have to train it and you have to take care of it. And we can see that right now your company is kind of in that stage. You're in the training stage, if you will, and that you're doing the exploration, you're doing the drilling, you're keeping your financial house in order, you're keeping your costs down. and you're just waiting now to bring it to the racetrack, and when that permit comes through for things to go. So we wish you good luck
Thank
with
you.
that.
You've
Keep
said
us
it
posted
more
on
eloquently
progress.
than I am. It's more eloquent than I could ever state, I must say.
All right, Ken, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. We've been speaking with Sonoro Gold's Ken MacLeod, and you've been watching Global One Media's Stocks to Watch. I'm Michael Swado.